Hello guys, welcome back. Now today I'm going to be discussing my biggest winners from the 2019 NHL entry draft. The 2019 NHL entry draft is officially complete, so which NHL teams had a solid draft overall, and which NHL team won this draft entirely? Watch till the end to find out. Now this draft is very interesting because a lot of different NHL teams came out of it pretty positively. There's a lot of NHL teams that had pretty solid drafts overall. But in this video, I'll be covering the NHL teams who I think won the draft the most. Now for my first big winner of the 2019 NHL draft, I have the New Jersey Devils. They had a pretty solid draft. They had 12 picks across all 7 rounds, and I think had a pretty good selection for themselves, both at a top end talent and also some late round steals. Since New Jersey has 12 picks, I'm not going to list every single one out, but when it comes to those 12 picks, a lot of them were pretty solid. Now, the first overall pick is obviously a great pick to have. They selected Jack Hughes first overall, the center and the franchise guy for the future. Some of you guys know I do prefer Kaapo Kakko over Jack Hughes, but Jack Hughes is still an excellent pick to make at first overall. You also got some solid options as well. As 55th overall, Denis Hamuluk is a pretty solid pick. You got Daniel Misil as 70th overall, which is a solid pick as well. Some other ones kind of in the later rounds, like Case McCarthy, 118th overall, pretty solid pick there too. And last but not least, Patrick Monahan at 158th overall, which I think is one of the biggest steals in the entire NHL draft. Now for New Jersey, their prospect pool really isn't the greatest, but I think this draft really does help that department. Again, getting guys like Jack Hughes will definitely help that, but New Jersey definitely is in need of those top prospects that can come in and do well, and Jack Hughes is the type of guy to really change that franchise. And I think that will be the case. Also, some other guys I think will be very underrated throughout this draft. I think we'll see quite a bit of NHL players out of those 12 guys coming into the NHL and being solid players. I think New Jersey had a pretty strong draft and one of the best in the entire NHL. Now, the next big winner of the 2019 NHL draft, I have the LA Kings. And they had a fantastic NHL draft from top to bottom, especially in the first couple of rounds where I think the steals were plentiful and they just dominated every single pick. The LA Kings ended up having 9 picks in total. They went with 4 forwards, 4 defensemen, and 1 goaltender. But especially in that top 2 rounds, that is just masterful by the LA Kings. And the first pick obviously was Alex Turcotte. And getting him at number 5, yes, is luck, but that is an excellent pick for LA to take, and I think that's a fantastic player at number 5. Next was Tobias Bjornfot at number 22, which I think is an okay pick. I don't think Bjornfot should have been in the top 22, but if he reaches his full upside, I think he can be a top 4 defenseman in LA's future. But you redeem it a little bit by getting Arthur Kaliev at number 33, an excellent pick, should have been nowhere near the second round, but LA is glad to take him at 33, which is a fantastic pick there. And last but not least, in that first 2 rounds, you had Samuel Vegamo at number 50, which is just a fantastic prospect and a fantastic pick at that spot too. They also got some solid players in the later rounds, getting guys like Lucas Parik and Kim Nozalainen, but I think the best pick that they got outside of the top 2 rounds was Jordan Spence at 95 overall, and that was a great pick for them in the 4th round. Jordan Spence was, I think, I would say a top 60 prospect, top 75 at least, and when it comes to LA, getting him in the top 95 at 95 overall is a great pick for them. Jordan Spence, I think, has top 4 upside if he develops right, and has an excellent defensive prospect for LA to add. I think the LA Kings already have a fantastic prospect pool, definitely one of the better ones in the NHL, but adding this draft class onto that prospect pool, I think will make it definitely deadly. Guys like Alex Turcotte, Tobias Bjornfot, Arthur Kaliev, those are some amazing pieces to add to LA to an already pretty solid prospect pool. Again, adding both forward and defense, they went for a little bit of a mix, but they had some excellent options and they took the right ones for the most part, especially in those first couple rounds. Now, for the next big winner of the 2019 NHL draft, I have the Vegas Golden Knights. They had a very interesting draft from top to bottom. Some solid picks from the first round all the way down to the 7th round. The Vegas Golden Knights ended up having 8 picks in the entire NHL draft, having 5 defensemen selected, 2 defensemen, and 1 goaltender. And when it comes to Vegas, when it comes to the 4 group they selected, that is what is most impressive. Throughout the NHL draft, the last pick they had was in the 5th round, so they had some high up picks. But overall, I loved what Vegas did here today, and they got some serious steals. The first pick for Vegas, obviously being Payne Krebs, getting him at 17th overall is definitely one of the bigger steals on the 2019 NHL draft. I still think he's a top 8 prospect. I have him number ranked 8th overall in my prospect rankings. To get him at number 17 is a huge get for Vegas. And also you get Kanan Korczak in the second round, a defenseman. I'm personally not the biggest fan of him, but I can definitely see why you would be. He's a solid defenseman that can have potential if he does get developed right. And the third round, though, I think you get the biggest steal of the entire 2019 NHL draft. At 79th overall, the Vegas Golden Knights were able to select Pavel Dorofeyev. And if you guys know, if you watch my final rankings, you know I have Pavel Dorofeyev as the 18th best prospect in this draft. Overall, not just for forwards, not just for Europe, overall, and Vegas was able to get him at number 79. And to me, this is hands down, it's not even close whatsoever, the biggest steal of the 2019 NHL draft. The biggest difference to where he should be drafted, I think, for sure. And Vegas had a couple of opportunities to draft him again in that first round. In that second round, I thought if they didn't draft him in that second round, they wouldn't really have a great opportunity to select him in the third round. But they were able to get him at number 79, which was around the place where Bob McKenzie predicted him to be at. But either way, the Vegas Golden Knights made an amazing decision there, and they have some other prospects that they got in this draft also. Guys like Lane Ahak, a defenseman in the BCHL, who were solid too. Guys like Ryder Donovan, Isaiah Seville, a goaltender as well. Some decent picks throughout the draft, but obviously Payne Krebs and Pavel Dorofeyev, what's not to love? Now, for the next big winner of the 2019 NHL draft, I have the New York Rangers. And they had a very interesting draft, of course, going second overall, going with the obvious pick of Kaapo Kakko. The rest of the draft was open to them, and besides Kaapo Kakko, they made some excellent decisions around Kaapo Kakko to fill that prospect pool that was already pretty amazing. The New York Rangers ended up having 8 picks and getting 5 forwards and 3 defensemen, but out of that group, there are some very talented guys. Now, obviously, Kaapo Kakko, number 2, I think he's the best prospect in this draft, and getting him at number 2 is pretty freaking sweet too. Even besides Kaapo Kakko, throughout the rounds, they made some excellent decisions. First one being at 49th overall, Matthew Robertson, a guy who I don't think many people expect to be available at number 49, but the New York Rangers will gladly take that. In the third round, they also get Carl Henriksen, who I think is a very underrated prospect in this NHL draft. Should have probably gone in the top 16, of course, he goes to 58 to the New York Rangers. You also have Zachary Jones, who's a solid defenseman pick as well. A pretty good pick as well, I think one of the better ones, Olivier Aaltonen at 130, a very good value pick there. And again, when it comes to Aaltonen, he should probably be a top 100 prospect, I think, at least. At 130 for Aaltonen is a very good draft steal too. Especially when it comes to the New York Rangers, it's not like they needed to add to that prospect pool, because that prospect pool already blows away everybody. But now adding Kaapo Kakko, Matthew Robertson, Olivier Aaltonen, and now you got Carl Henriksen too, that's going to be one of the best prospect pools in the entire NHL, depth-wise and star-wise. And before we get into who I think is the biggest winner in the 2019 NHL draft, I also wanted to give a couple of mentions to 2 teams who just missed the big winner category. The first team being the Colorado Avalanche, who selected Bowen Byram and Alex Newhook in the first round, an excellent first round, and they also got some decent players after that. Guys like Helleson, Bucage, also Matala, Trent Miner, some decent prospects there outside of the first round. Obviously the first round is where they shined. Outside of that, there are some decent picks, but nothing that really explodes, and that's why they weren't in the big winner category, is because I don't see any of those picks being big steals, but just decent NHL players in the future. And for the second and last honorable mention, I'm going to give it to the Toronto Maple Leafs. For not having any first round pick, they did very well for themselves. Now their first pick was Nicholas Robertson at number 53, which is one of the biggest steals in the entire draft. Should be a top 25 prospect, but went 2 times after that at number 53. They also got Mikko Koskinen, which is a pretty solid prospect, especially for where they ended up getting him. You also got guys like Abramov and Abrazizi, some solid prospects there too. And Toronto didn't have the most picks in the world. Not having the first round pick hurts, but when it comes to Toronto, the moves that they did make and the draft picks that they did make, I was very impressed by what they did. Now, for the team that I think won the 2019 NHL draft, the biggest winners in the NHL draft, I have the Carolina Hurricanes. They're a team that I think from the first round to the 7th round dominated almost every single selection they had, and more. Now on to the first round and on to the 7th round again. Almost every single pick they made, I loved. It seemed like whenever there was a player available that should have been picked to that spot, and that I like quite a bit, they ended up picking him. And I was just surprised, because it was almost every single pick at that point for the Carolina Hurricanes. I'm like, holy crap, I actually love this. Now, the Carolina Hurricanes had 12 picks throughout the NHL draft, so that definitely does help. But I would say 90% of the picks that they ended up picking were absolutely amazing, and that is fantastic percentage. I'm just going to list out the guys from the second round onwards that should be very, very good picks in the future. Jamison Reese with one of their first picks in the second round. Fantastic pick right there. You have also Patrick Pistola, who was at the 73rd pick or something. Absolute steal. Should be in the top 40, 100%. You also got Antoni Honka, who I think is one of the most underrated prospects in this NHL draft. I am as the 50th best prospect in this draft, and to get him in the lot later than he probably should have gone. You also got Dominic Fensor, who they were able to get very, very early as well. Fantastic prospect, and should be a second round prospect. You also got Slepets, who went pretty late. All over prospect, but has a lot of potential. They also got Blake Murray, who is a pretty solid prospect. Again, pretty underrated too. Has some concerns there, but could definitely be good potential-wise. And last but not least, the last pick, who I think was fantastic for them, they ended up getting Tuukka Tixela, who was a very big riser in the last few months of the NHL draft, but still even then should be a fantastic prospect and an NHL player for sure. And just as the NHL draft went on, I'm like, holy crap, almost every single pick, the Carolina Hurricanes are actually making the right decisions. It was kind of weird for a team that usually doesn't draft too well to be doing all this stuff good. Now, obviously, I could be wrong, and in 5 years' time, all these picks could be no NHL games played or anything. But from what it's looking like right now, they just hit on so many different picks and so many different guys that I'm personally very high on. And yes, it obviously is my opinion, but the Carolina Hurricanes, just in the first round, and especially the second through 7th round, just dominated in every single round from what it seemed like. I can definitely see why you or anybody would pick the New Jersey Devils or the New York Rangers to win the NHL draft. I think that's perfectly fine. But the Carolina Hurricanes, who had the 28th overall pick, their best pick, were able to get a solid prospect, and then from there on out, get great value at almost every single pick they got. And that is what is incredible. The NHL teams that pick well, especially in the late rounds, are a lot better than the teams that pick well in the first. And that's what I'm thinking right there. For the Carolina Hurricanes, they had so much quantity of the draft picks, but also the quality was there too. When it comes to my top 5 winners of the 2019 NHL draft, at Carolina I have number 1, I have the Los Angeles Kings at number 2, the New Jersey Devils at number 3, the New York Rangers at number 4, and last but not least, the Vegas Golden Knights at number 5. Those are my top 5 winners of the 2019 NHL draft, and Carolina being at number 1. But of course, with this video, I need to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comments down below. So let me know, what do you think about the 2019 NHL draft? What do you think about my selections for the winners of the draft? And of course, the question on you, who do you think won the 2019 NHL draft? But if you guys want some more Grav videos just like this one, you can click on this card right here to watch my 2019 NHL draft round 1 recap. But that'll be it for today, guys. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell if you haven't already. Again, comment down below your thoughts on my picks for the biggest winners in the NHL draft and who you think won the draft. And I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Goodbye.